when I travel in groups, it gives me so much anxiety not to be able to do the things that I want because not always people were gonna. For example, I'm never gonna spend 2 hours, 3 hours in a restaurant making a line, eating. Like, no, catch me in the beach, catch me like talking to the locals. When I was traveling in Colombia, I was making like $800 a month. So I think my budget was like $20 a day, something like that. So okay, so I'm like, how do I make that happen? If my family hears this, they're gonna kill me. I slept in 18 bedroom dorms.
Wow.
I was working, yeah. So, but it was like $8 a night. Traveling has changed my life in a way I could never imagine.
Solo trips and group trips, where do you feel more comfortable? I don't know how it goes with you, but I think there's no such thing as a solo trip. You're always going to get in touch with people and maybe traveling alone, yeah, but when you get there, you suddenly be in touch with many people, especially when you're quite an extrovert, I would say. But then what have you done the most and where do you feel more comfortable?
Definitely solo. I've never been solo in any country. Like immediately I get to a place, if I always book a hostel. Even if it's more expensive I book a hostel. And so rewarding to meet people, to get out of your comfort zone. Every time I haven't done a lot of group trips because again, I'm from a country that not everyone has the money to do the things that I've done. But when I travel in groups, it gives me so much anxiety not to be able to do the things that I want because not always people were gonna. For example, I'm never gonna spend 2 hours, 3 hours in a restaurant making a line, eating. Like, no, catch me in the beach, catch me like talking to the locals. So when sometimes like I did a trip recently with a group, and a lot of time I had to give up what I wanted to do, what I was paying to do. Because that's what the group wanted. So for me, my most precious thing is freedom. And there's no other way that I felt more free than traveling solo.
Mm-hmm. The very fatidic question, I would say. You talked about money. How much money does it take to have an intense traveling lifestyle? People expect you to be rich.
Yeah, I'm definitely not.
When you tell people you are constantly traveling, that you're a digital nomad and everything, they expect you to have a whole lot of money, and I guess there's something else about it, right?
Yeah. So all of my travels have been working. Like I think I haven't taken vacation, so everything has been working.
Are you sharp on budgeting?
Yeah, but I don't keep accountability. I'm just like, for example, I used to have when I was traveling in Colombia, I was making like $800 a month. So I think my budget was like $20 a day, something like that. So okay, so I'm like, how do I make that happen?
How do you minimize the costs?
Doing it alone definitely gets more expensive because when I was traveling with a Brazilian girl, what we did is that we booked a room for the both of us and it was always like half the price. So that's way better. So it depends on your flexibility and your creativity. So for example, in Colombia, I had opportunities. If my family hears this, they're going to kill me. I slept in 18 bedroom dorms.
Wow.
I was working, yeah. So, but it was like $8 a night.
Yeah.
I would say besides like hostel is a good way of saving and volunteering experiences. For example, I volunteered at a hostel, being a bartender. I've never done it. I've never done it in my life, but they took me. So they would give me a bed and breakfast and for a month. So I stayed there for like a month in Colombia while I could. So I could do like my scuba diving lessons for $250. I got 6 lessons. I got certified. But that was from my savings, for example. But since I got accommodation for free, but in Colombia, like I probably spent like $100 a month. Because I like to cook. That's something that will save you a lot of money traveling if you cook. In hostels, they always have kitchens. That's something that you should look for. So in Colombia specifically, like 3 years ago, I was able to survive on $800 a month, for example. So I was definitely not rich. I was not living even paycheck to paycheck. Like I could save probably like 150 a month actually, because I didn't have to pay accommodation. So if you're flexible,
accommodation is everything.
Unfortunately, yeah. And where you're a digital nomad, that gets like right now with my job, I can't do that type of stuff. Like I need a co-working, I need a good space, I need a good like desk, so that's gonna cost you.
So what are some of your next destinations? Maybe any place you haven't been to and that you have in mind.
So I have a little travel burned out because I did 8 countries and 16 cities in August.
Wow.
So right now I feel like I just need to go back home. I just got my visa approved, so I'm gonna go to Dominican Republic probably for a while, and then my dream would be visiting, for example, Iceland or Guatemala. So now that
Mhm.
I'm gonna be there, I probably take a few days and go. I don't know if you heard about Volcan Acatenango, so you can see the volcano exploding at
Wow.
5 a.m. That's something that is on my bucket list for years, and I've booked the trip 3 times, and it always gets canceled.
Oof.
So I feel like that's gonna be my next one after I need to chill out for a while.
When you look at yourself now, after having been to different places, compared to the person you were before consistently traveling, do you think travel has brought something special in terms of added value? Or do you think it has contributed to making you a greater version of yourself and maybe affecting your perspectives, your way of seeing the world?
Absolutely. Traveling has changed my life in a way I could never imagine. I was such an structured person. My mind was a little bit like traditional Dominican kind of mind, but it has boosted my confidence on a way that I don't care going a bikini in the middle of the town. Like for me, now that I lived in a bikini for probably like a month in Mexico. That's one of the things, like confidence to approach people, to be yourself, because you have a chance to start fresh. I was not an extroverted, honestly.
Oh, really?
I was not. But now it's like
So traveling made you an extrovert.
did. I didn't
Wow.
dance either. Now I can dance.
Like what?
Salsa, bachata, reggaeton, techno, whatever you say, I go for it.
I've been trying to take salsa classes and I haven't been consistent, unfortunately. I wouldn't certainly be a perfect dancer
Yeah.
because I'm just not a natural, but I've made a point of knowing how to dance some of these basic, I would say, salsa and bachata and a little bit of flamenco, even
Really?
if this one is kind of harder. Before leaving Spain.
Actually,
Something like
salsa
that.
is a community. I will tell you a secret about it after
Mm,
after we finish. Like it's so great to meet people and just to like Madrid has the best places for free. You just
certainly,
yeah.
certainly. I've been to one in the center in Retiro Park. There were free salsa classes open air.
Oh really?
Yeah, and I've heard about other things
I've been to La
similar.
Ermita that is open air. I think they do it Tuesday to Sundays. It
Mm,
is such a great vibe.
wow. Well, I mean, when we talked about Spain, it was essentially about culture clashes and your expectations. But then, what are some of the very positive things you've noticed about this place?
Quality of life.
Yeah.
It is so walkable no matter like I've been to a good amount of cities. It is so nice. It's just like you can just go for coffee. Like for example, I start working at 3.
Mhm.
So sometimes it's like, let me go pottery for a morning and it's gonna be only 15 euros. Let me just take a coffee here while
Yeah.
I read a book. It's very accessible everywhere. And like for example, the local bars, they have very nice people. Like you can just sit and chat.
Yeah.
What else? I think the health.
Mhm.
I got my insurance is like 57 euros a month and it's so good.
Yeah.
Like in my country, I had to wait hours and hours for a doctor. Here is
Mhm.
like straight to my appointment. 10 minutes,
That's one
I'm
of the
out.
good things about Spain, actually.
Yeah, and transportation in Madrid, let me say, because to the other places I've been, like it's not so great, but I am in love with the transportation here. You can get anywhere
Yeah.
very easily.
I mean, especially when you're not very far from the center, perfect connection. You don't actually need a car as such if you work in the center or around the center and everything.
And you have this the car sharing thing that you can just pay. For example, I rented a car for like 3 hours,
Mhm.
and it was like less than like it was like $36.
Yeah, pretty cheap. When do you think you will have had enough trips, if that will ever happen?
So I thought I would get to that point, but now that I travel, like I've met people that are 65 years old,
Still traveling.
married, kids, and they're like,
Take all the family away.
no, his no, like I met a woman, 65 years old, Argentinian. Her non-negotiable in her relationship, she needed to do one solo trip a year. She's 65, staying in
Yeah,
hostels.
there's something about solo trips.
Yeah, I have friends who are 30 something. They don't travel as often, but they take 3 months trip a year, for example. So I think I always have that travel bug in me. Because there's no age. Now I have met so many 60 years old people traveling and they go partying. They
Wow.
go and they have the same conversations we do. So
Hmm.
it's like, I want to be that person. I want to be that cool person